I want to thank, first of all, Margaret, Deanna, and Colin, and everyone at Tree for inviting me. And it really is such a pleasure to read with Stephen and to hear those magnificent poems, and also to hear the poems of the open mic readers. I mean, normally when you hear that there's going to be an open mic, it's sort of like Forrest Gump's box of chocolate. Most of them turn out to be the ones with the fruit in them, you know, and they're not particularly to your taste, but Jesus, they were amazing. They were really, everyone was fantastic. I'm obviously just saying that because you constitute about half the audience. I've been reading from this new book for a couple years now, and I always find when I come to one of these readings, I want to have more agreeable poems to read to you. And I've recently been rereading Janet Malcolm's book about Sylvia Plath and Ted Hughes, which, if you don't know Janet Malcolm, I think she's the best essayist alive. She talks about this moment when Sylvia Plath was corresponding with her mother in 1962, towards the end of her life, and Plath was sending poems back to her mother, and her mother had the reaction that I found a lot of audiences when I read these poems have. Her mother wondered why the hell she couldn't write more pleasant poems. And Sylvia Plath wrote back, a fantastic letter writer. She wrote back to her mother, she said, "Now stop trying to get me to write about, quote, decent, courageous people. Read the Ladies' Home Journal for those. It's too bad my poems frighten you, but you've always been afraid of reading or seeing the world's hardest things, like Hiroshima, the Inquisition, or Belsen." After having written a book about a guy who helped manufacture the atomic bomb, which led to hundreds of thousands of deaths, I've graduated to writing about people who killed far fewer, but whose horrendous criminality touches a nerve in Canada in a way that our great Canadian Louis Slotin doesn't. All the poems from this book, which is called The Scarborough, take place not in a single day, take place in a weekend in the Greater Toronto area in 1992, when one of the country's most horrendous crime sprees was coming to its final chapter. It takes place on Easter weekend 1992. The book's broken up into 3 sections, which take place over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Easter. And I found that the best way of looking at this hell, like Orpheus, was by trying to do it with my eyes closed. So I'm going to read a couple poems from each of the days of the Scarborough. The first one is called Today's Special, and I think there are people who are young enough in the room to remember. Maybe some of the older people watch it with their children. It's based on the intro sequence to a TVO children's show of the same name, Today's Special. And this follows the intro sequence in which we meet a number of the characters in Today's Special. "Well, I guess that's all locked up tight," says Sam, who guards the mall at night. Sam's a puppet. He can't use his eyes. His body is an excellent disguise. I'm Muffy the Mouse. I'm condemned to rhyme until the Christmas special end of time. That's Jody, my human friend. The world goes on and will not end. Hi there, Jody. Oh, hi, Sam. Jody straightens Jeffrey's magic tam. Everything's safe here. Let's go upstairs, Sam says through a mustache props repairs. Jody is so pretty. I hate her. She carries Jeffrey up the escalator to the kids' department every night, where he turns into space and starlight when I say the magic rhyme. Jeff's a mannequin until the mall goes dark. Then he's a man again. This is called King Kong. Attention all stations. Kong's going west. He's making for the Empire State Building. A big man in a bad town, short on rest, limbs coiling like elevator cabling, holding a woman like a remote control. A blonde which, when waved over Manhattan as a wand, anything might happen. Around the moon might moan an air patrol, 4 biplanes with machine guns and a cause. A psychopath who's big and scary too, so obviously evil, just because. Demogorgon, muscled, and hairy too. Black bees bang down, bing steel, and burrow him. Night flows into his holes, tomorrow, them. Confused, setting down his unwilling bride, Kong, on the wrong side of a killing, died. The book, one of the things it's trying to think about with its eyes closed is 2 psychopaths at the heart of this story. And psychopathy, though we sort of understood it by the time Hannah Arendt was writing about Eichmann. Psychopathy, or I mean, just what we can call human evil in its most basic form, isn't a positive attribute. It's not something you possess, really. It's about things that you lack. One thing in particular. It was described scientifically first by a Canadian named Robert Hare. And he created this thing called the Hare checklist, which lists all the attributes of a psychopath. Some of them include they tend to be classically handsome. They tend to be well put together. They tend to be charming. They tend to be convincing. They're glib. They're impulsive. Most importantly, they lack empathy. In other words, they don't care about their subjects. This is a quotation, almost whole cloth, a found poem, from one of the psychopaths that Hare writes about in his seminal book. This is called the Hare checklist. Do I care about other people? That's a tough one. But yeah, I guess I do. I don't let my feelings get in the way. I'm as warm and caring as the next guy, but let's face it, everyone's trying to screw you. Gotta look out for yourself. Park your feelings. Say you need something, or someone's fucking with you, maybe tries to rip you off. You take care of it. Do what needs to be done. Do I feel bad if I have to hurt someone? Yeah, sometimes. But mostly it's like, how'd you feel the last time you squashed a bug? This poem is called Purgatory. In Niagara Falls, Ontario, Marineland is the place to go. An enchanted land with a magic man. Everyone loves Marineland. You can take your family for the day, watching the whales and dolphins play, seeing friends you miss, a great big kiss. Everyone loves Marineland. For about 4 years, when I was a kid, I dressed up as Superman all the time, day in and day out, and it seemed like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. One day I tried to wear my Superman outfit to school, which I normally wouldn't do. I would wear it in the morning, take it off, and my mom convinced me. She said, you shouldn't go as Superman, you should go as Clark Kent to school. And I thought, Mom, that's absolutely genius, of course. The reason for it is in this poem. It's called Superman. As a boy, even he played Superman, cooking corn until it popped off the cob by staring at it, swaying on its stalk. Hands on his hips, a red sheet on its back, its S snapping in the sibilant breeze, his bare feet hovering above Kansas. He raised himself above the human voices. His mom, who dressed him as Clark Kent for school, so you can get the jump on the bad guys and hide in plain sight in this smart disguise, ran out to fetch him like a lost balloon. Clark Kent, come down from there, we're eating soon. He caught her cancer lying in her lung like a spider web, looking down through her. Once, she died. There'd be other women, though, earthlings all, bound by their souls to earth, who had the habit of turning to dirt. Delicate eggs he'd snatch from their despair and juggle hand to steel hand through the air until they broke, the punchlines of a joke, his unapplauding hands covered in yolk. They ripened like pubescent mammaries among his bumper crop of memories. Here's one, soft as a peach, laying Lois onto the down comforter of her bed, the bed she was a girl in, her parents washing the dishes downstairs and laughing. Where did she go? Everybody's somewhere. And anyways, that was eons ago, when human cities still shone below him, light brights aspiring to galaxies where real human beings used to know him. He'd condescend to save a special few, mostly friends, and friends of friends he knew. His interventions administrative and increasingly to no great effect, as the whole of them faded into black some billion-something years ago today. He's stopped keeping track. Seasons pass as seconds. This continent goes green, that one goes white. He reimagines Lois and his fights, and every million years or so he's right. He's Superman. He hovers high above. Once, he remembers something. He was loved. Or, if not loved, then at least diligent, thorough, having seen a whole thing through, his powers fading as the sun goes out and he takes his place among the nothing new. I'm just going to read two more. I don't normally write about my life. This thing happens to be true. When the weekend that the book sort of covers, I was 9, and on that weekend I lost my childhood bear. This is called Radar. The bear was named after the guy from MASH, the incorrigible troll with ESP. Hearing as fine as a woman's eyelash, and a revolving roster of spy holes that opened onto the nurse's shower, precipitating above an eyeball. His voice went out from the PA tower, and once, emboldened by Hawkeye's beer, he read the day's announcement out in Morse. That's Radar. I named him. He is my bear. A foot tall, eyes black and patient as pearls, on a head that revolves like Linda Blair's in The Exorcist. Today, wet snow whirls the windshield, close to collapsing to rain, as we drive into upper middle Oakville, unfinished neighborhoods supervised by cranes, sapling-lined streets that segue into farms, whole subdivisions sprouting up like grains. Our Mazda slowing, Radar in my arms, we pull up to a half-constructed house, where, in the driveway, sits my cousin's car. Auntie Laurie and Uncle Bob get out, then Ryan and Jen. This is their new house. A Tivik ghost, the front door's mouth a shout, muffled by wafting plastic to a hiss. I'm 9 years old, the same age as Dante when he trembled, first seeing Beatrice. But here am I, playing with a teddy. Embarrassed, I leave Radar on the porch and walk into the house, which isn't ready. The second floor not staircased to the first. The winds of Easter blowing hard through it, a Lethe quenching the plywood ground's thirst. The only element alien to it being the human. I turn left to leave, open my mouth to scream but can't do it. My voice barred by what my eyes can't believe. Radar is gone. Radar, my best friend, whose very body was my own relief, on whom I turned my back for a second. How could he not have seen his captors coming? He, whose namesake could detect the sucking thumps of a chopper as distant humming. Or did he see it through his locked-in syndrome, the very spirit of Oakville humming his unattended signal, a scapegoat for the sins of his namesake, his black eyes unblinking at the oncoming caped ghost? We search for him an hour, but surprise, he's gone. Driving home, Dad says he likes Oakville as the snow turns into rain. Then Mom cries as CBC reports a missing girl, and I understand where Radar's gone. Of course, to go retrieve her for us, our new world, as the National Research Council in Morse indicates it's exactly 1 o'clock. Short, 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 long, 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 short, short, short. And I'm going to leave you with this one. It's called At the End of the Day, and it's from Baudelaire's French. In the wan and waning twilight, life goes on, spitefully, goes on its endless riot, no mind to write. The sun abandons the horizon, and night voluptuously rises, packing in its velvet valise our baggage, shame, and all malaise. I'm one of its surprises, still sick in love with mankind, and ready for bed. Here I go, with first drafts of dreams in my mind, and a queen-sized fit for a king, begging for a wallow, where I'll toss and turn into nothing. Thank you very much.